This video is an introduction to a structure for solving problems in spreadsheets that I like to refer to as the 5-column, left to right, top to bottom format. So we will simply walk through this quickly. Given this particular problem, which is hopefully easy to understand, which is simply a hydraulic cylinder that has P1 acting on the left side, the cap end. That pressure acts on A1. Counteracting that is the external force that the cylinder rod would generate, but also helping to push the piston to the left is a little back pressure, P2, acting on A2, which is actually an annulus because it's the bore diameter area minus the area taken up by the rod. So it's a simple problem. Here is the equation for the force balance, and of course the equation for a circle. So we're going to use that as the basis to explain this 5-column, left to right, top to bottom structure. So first of all of the inputs are gathered in one place, followed by intermediate calculations, which can be calculations that stem from the inputs that you have, which then are followed by the outputs, which are the answer that you're probably looking for in your problem. So in this case, we have the 5 columns, and I've put notes here to identify what each column contains. The first column is the abbreviation. If we were going to write this solution mathematically on paper, we might use variables like indicated in column A, d sub cylinder for diameter of the cylinder. We might have d sub rod for diameter of the rod. So those abbreviations are in column A. In column B, we have a full description of what did I mean by P sub 1. It was the pressure on the head of the cylinder, or P2, the pressure on the rod side. In column 3, we would have the value. In the case of inputs, it's the number that we're going to be using to calculate. In the case of calculations, there will be formulas that compute these values. In engineering and other disciplines, units absolutely matter. So it's important to keep the unit separate from the number itself, because if I had in a cell 75 space mm, I can't compute based on that because it's not a number. So I keep my unit separate, but in the cell right next to the value. And then the 5th column is the notes. It explains where did this come from, maybe the assumptions made. And then you'll note down below, in the case of calculations, we actually echo the formula from column C over in column E so that at a glance you can see all of the calculations that are going on in the spreadsheet. So that's the 5-column part: abbreviation, full description, value, units, and notes. The left to right part is reading any particular line. The diameter of the cylinder, dsil, means the diameter of the cylinder. It's 75 millimeters. And often in the note here, maybe we would also call it the bore diameter of the cylinder. So that's the left to right part, where you have the abbreviation. What did you mean by that? What's the value? What's the units? And where did it come from? The top to bottom part is this inputs all gathered at the top, followed by the calculations which follow, and the bottom line is actually at the bottom line. So that's the top to bottom. So if you were to audit or try to debug and troubleshoot one of these spreadsheets, you'll find that it's extremely boring. And I'll give a quick demo of that using on the formulas bar here in Excel. You can trace the precedence and dependence. So I'm going to start at the bottom line and trace the precedence. That number is calculated by that one. That one is calculated by these. And these are calculated this way. So the full audit, the flow of the calculations, is actually literally top to bottom, because you can't compute based on things you don't know yet. And so this is a good introduction to algorithmic thinking. I know these things, and from them I can compute these things. Once I know these things, I can compute these things. So it's algorithmic thinking in a logical flow. I'm Dennis Buckmaster, a professor of agricultural and biological engineering at Purdue University. I've been teaching problem solving in spreadsheets this way for a long, long time. It is time tested and proven to work very effectively. And I hope that through this short introduction, and maybe by you watching the accompanying videos that more fully explain it, you can improve your problem-solving capability. A beauty of this way of solving problems is that when you give it to someone else, and then maybe that someone else is the future you will know exactly what happened here because everything is fully explicit in terms of the calculations and the flow.